I understood why my mom was trying to explain my brother's actions. The last thing I heard from him was that after he left the hospital, everyone turned their backs on him for what he did. They fired him from his work and left the town. The following weeks, I cut off almost any contact with the outside world and focused on helping my girlfriend. To say the least, she was handling the situation as best she could. She was still very scared about what had happened and had no energy at all, but after almost a month of being home, she had to go to work, but she returned after a few hours because she told me that she couldn't stop feeling threatened, that she was in danger, and that at any moment someone was going to try to do something bad to her. The op couldn't post the entire story in this one post. So, he continued it in a comment when she calmed down. I suggested that the best thing to do would be to seek professional help. And although the idea did not seem the best to her at first, she ended up accepting it and it really was the best for both of us. Right after the therapy began, she began to improve. And after almost 2 months in therapy, her therapist suggested that perhaps I should start taking some sessions too. Not only so that I could fully understand her therapist's situation and help her properly, but also because she told her therapist that since the incident, I had almost no contact with anyone other than her and that I had never really spoken about how I felt. At first, it sounded strange, but I was not going to question the recommendation of her therapist even though she told me that I was only going because I thought I would be able to let out the little things I had accumulated. I can remember that in the first session I ended up in a mess. I felt so angry, not only with my brother, but also with myself. I was repressing what I felt because I didn't stop blaming myself for not having noticed my brother's behavior and above all, I felt powerless because I couldn't protect her. Like I always said I would, and that he was afraid that something like that could happen to him again. And I couldn't help it. After several sessions, things finally started looking better. We both improved our mental states and even decided to take self-defense classes. A few weeks ago, I proposed to her. When I told my family, everyone congratulated me, but my mother remained a little quiet, and when no one was looking, she asked me if we could talk alone later. When we were alone, she told me that she was very happy for me and for her, but that she needed to tell me something. That's when she told me that she had been in contact with my brother since the pandemic began. She told me that my brother looked after her to find out if she and my father were okay, if he could help them in any way and that he felt sorry for what he had done. My mother kept telling me things about him until she told me something that almost made me yell at her. She told me, "I think it's time for you to forgive your brother." Before she could continue talking, I left the room, took my keys and went home. When I arrived, I told my fiancée what my mother told me, and she was as upset as I was by my mother's words, and I couldn't believe she said that. The following days, along with congratulations on my engagement, I also received questions about my brother and that, if we had spoken again, if we're already reconnect and things like that. I tried to ignore these situations as much as possible until 4 days ago my mother called me saying that she had told my brother about my engagement and that he was coming to town next week because he wanted to talk to me. I argued with my mom because she had no right to tell him something like that. I hung up on her and have had no contact with her since. After that, some relatives told me that maybe my mother was right and that I should give my brother a second chance. I reached my limit yesterday afternoon when my father called me to tell me that I had to be a good brother and at least try. Even when my father asked me to forgive my brother for what he did, suddenly everyone forgets what he did. 4 years is enough to forget about what he did, and I honestly can't understand how they can think like that. I honestly don't know what to think about my family right now. I'm just upset with them, and I definitely don't want to see my brother again. I wrote here because I needed to vent, and my therapist appointment was postponed. It's not the most professional choice, but I needed to get my feelings out somehow. And I appreciate whoever is reading this. PD, to all those who took the time to read this, I sincerely thank you. English is not my first language, so I apologize for any grammar mistakes and if anything from my story is not clear, I will reply. A notable comment that sums this up. So your mother is protecting you and expecting you to forgive a racist predator. Maybe her sounds racist but isn't attitude means she thinks less of your partner. What would her reaction be if someone attempted to see your sister? I'm guessing she wouldn't be all forgive and forget. Act accordingly. Your family is willing to sacrifice you, your partner, and your relationship just to have happy families with a rapist. And she's a woman, how dare she? Honestly, OP, you might as well go and see now because just the fact they've expressed this desire for reconciliation is in the happy family coffin. Her fiancé now knows they don't stand by her or you and that what nearly happened under their own roof is now NBD. They are asking her to smile, come to barbecues, open Christmas gifts, laugh at a dinner table across from your brother who sought her twice and be totally cool with it. Let's face it. Your mother hasn't believed your fiancé from the beginning. She believes probably that it's a misunderstanding and being drunk. You probably thought you saw something different that yes, they were in a room alone and that was wrong of him to do, but you overreacted because they were drinking and things got out of hand or something else ridiculous. Your mother straight up discussed me as a fellow woman, as a fellow mom of boys, and as a fellow member of society. It's over with them. They chose and it wasn't your side that they picked. Leave town and start over. If he comes back, she may never feel safe enough to even leave your front porch on a daily basis.